Well, on two of the Hindi Heartland states which will be voting for the first time since their assembly, elections, Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan. Now, during the 2018 state elections, both states voted for the Congress. Both states voted the Congress into power. If that trend continues, would it be a challenge for the BJP? That's the question we are asking right now. We're going to pop that question up on the screen, and my colleague Aarti is standing by. The interesting part about both Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan, Aarti, is that while the Congress was able to form governments, the vote share difference was actually very, very thin. So will that be carried through? Will the Congress be able to capitalize on those assembly election wins for, for this election? Aarti?
Well, good morning to Faye and to all our panelists. And that's exactly what the BJP is going to be counting on, the very, very narrow vote share difference. Now, in 2018, the BJP lost 3 Hindi Heartland states, Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh, and Madhya Pradesh. But the thing is, and this is what they're going to be banking on, the very, very narrow vote share. If you look at Madhya Pradesh, now the Congress won 114 seats and the BJP 109. But just, it was this wafer-thin margin, this wafer-thin vote share that they're really counting on. If you look at Rajasthan, for instance, again, the vote share is extremely minor, even in Rajasthan. Now, Madhya Pradesh, Shivraj Singh Chauhan was facing a 15-year anti-incumbency trend, and despite that, the BJP should draw heart from the fact that they did get the vote share was very close to that of the Congress, I beg your pardon. If we can pull up Rajasthan on the screen next, and you see even Rajasthan, the vote share is very minor, and that made a huge difference. For the BJP got 73 seats, the Congress 99, but the vote share difference is extremely wafer thin. So for the BJP, they're drawing heart from this and hoping that they can cash in on the sentiment, at least in Rajasthan. Remember that it was considered to be more of an anti-Vasundhara Raje vote than an anti-Modi vote. So that's what they're going to be looking to cash in on, that the favorable opinion for Narendra Modi will help them really bridge that divide and regain lost ground. So for the BJP, this is undoubtedly a grudge match in both Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh. Back to you, Faye.
All right, Aarti, many thanks for bringing us those numbers. And it's really in those vote share numbers that the entire story is going to be in this election as well. So that's the conversation that I hope to have with my panel. Bacha Sen in the studio with us, Bharat Kumar Rao and Vinay Tiwari. Ranjan Mahan joins us as well from the Jaipur studio. It's such a pleasure to have him. Mr. Mahan, thank you for joining us, and good morning to you too. So let's start, since Mr. Mahan is with us, let's start with Rajasthan. And we'll pop up that Rajasthan graphic that, Aarti was just talking about. And we'll look at that vote share difference in Rajasthan. And this is the 2018 assembly results. The BJP, with 73 seats, had a vote share of 39.3. The Congress, with 99 seats, had a vote share of 39.8. It really was, like Aarti was saying, completely thin. There was very little difference. How will that impact the results going forward in this election? Vinay, you said this, and I remember when we were talking last week about Chhattisgarh, you said it was a 10% vote share difference, and that's very wide a difference to bridge in a few months. How about 0.5%?
Yes, I mean, that's nothing at all. And I think Rajan will perhaps attest me on that, that when the assembly campaigning was on, the slogan on the ground was, Modi tujhse bair nahi, Vasundhara teri khair nahi. And so in some sense, the voters there were making a distinction between the central government and their anger with the state government. Now, which is why normally Rajasthan votes goes with what they voted for in the state assembly elections. It usually goes that way. But I'm not too sure if that is exactly how it will happen this time. I mean, certainly it's not going to be one way, like it was in the 2014 Lok Sabha election. It's not going to be one way. It's going to be tighter. Of course, the BJP has nowhere else but to go down because they already peaked last time. But it's not as if they're getting wiped out in the state, is personally my assessment of the situation, Faye.
Mr. Mahan, what is your opinion right now of the BJP's ability to sort of push back the Congress in Rajasthan?
Yeah, Faye, I would suggest that what Vinay was saying is pretty much close to the mark, in the sense that while the Congress was hoping to build on a certain momentum which they had gained because of winning the assembly elections, but sadly, it hasn't really translated that way. And what one sees, of course, is that there's, of course, no chance that the BJP can get a 25-0 verdict in Rajasthan, which they got in 2014. They had a huge 12% gap between the two parties. The fact that the margins of victory for the Congress in December were very, very slim, of course, indicates two things. One, that the voter anger at that time was essentially directed more at the state government, and that the BJP continued to have a considerable hold over the popular vote. Now, essentially, the whole campaign this time around, as I see it, has been going on the BJP banking largely on the Modi magic, on the Modi mantra that had carried them through in 2014 to this 25-0 sweep in Rajasthan, and also building on that, that whole narrative of nationalism post-Pulwama, and something that they've carried on all through the past 5 years. But at the same time, there is much to be said for the Congress also. One, they did indeed live up to the promise that they would waive off the farmer loans. Yes, it hasn't gone off completely, it hasn't actually been done on the ground yet, but they did announce it within the 10 days that Rahul Gandhi had said. Second, there is this tradition that Rajasthan invariably has voted in favor of the party that wins the assembly elections, much stronger in the Lok Sabha elections. Whether that trend will continue is something which is pretty doubtful, but whether the BJP can repeat its 2014 election results is also very, very doubtful. What is more likely to happen is that, for instance, in these 13 seats that are voting today in Rajasthan, the BJP won all 13. But as predictions and as political observers have generally been saying, it is likely to be half and half. And for the BJP, this phase is very critical, because in the roughly 104 assembly seats of Rajasthan that are voting today, the BJP actually had a majority. They won 50 even in December 2018, and the Congress only has 44. But there is a likelihood that in many seats, there will be a bit of a turnaround, because the Congress has been, campaigning heavily, and their narrative, of course, is focused around development and vikas, which has gone conspicuously absent from the BJP's rhetoric and the BJP's campaign rallies. But the Congress is focusing on agrarian hardship, on rural distress. They're talking about the lack of jobs, and I think there is some sense on the ground that all of that is also resonating. But at the same time, we cannot rule out the Prime Minister's personal popularity and the narrative of nationalism that they've tried to cash in on. So very interesting phase. And of course, the hot seat is Jodhpur, where the Chief Minister's son is making his electoral debut. And pitted against him is one of the favorites of the Modi-Shah combined in Rajasthan, a minister in the Modi government, Rajendra Singh Shekhawat, who was the Minister of State for Agriculture.
Just one moment, Mr. Maan. I have some breaking news coming in, and I have to interrupt